4th and 5, the national championship on the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores.
Do it to him, D.
My name is Thomas Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Welcome back to Relatively Conscious. Shout out to DJ for making our beat.
At DW Made That on social media.
And follow us on social media.
At Kinda Woke on Instagram and Twitter. Relatively Conscious everywhere else. Follow, like, share, subscribe. It's going to be great. Let somebody else know. Tag, comment, engage. Relatively Conscious question. How important is tradition to you? You know, but just keep that in mind. Go ahead and let us know in the comment section how do you feel about tradition, because I feel like it's a generational problem, and this is demonstrated by a number of these examples we're about to get into. First things first. This came out yesterday. This is happening at 1 o'clock in the morning on March the 3rd. This came out on March the 1st. UT donors. Letters that they wrote to the University of Texas. This is a developing story coming out of University of Texas, wherein alumni donors are upset about The Eyes of Texas, a song. I don't even think it's a fight song. Traditional song played by the band, sung by the students at the football games. Tons of fun. Friday Night Lights, Texas business. And the team kind of stepped away from the tradition, didn't want to do it anymore. Donors said, not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Ian Van Zant, the whole meme, they say, y'all need rich donors. Y'all need people like me. And it's become a culture war, racial wedge issue. And this has become a kind of a trend with college campuses, college administrations, alumni, and the like, the establishment bumping heads with the new young bucks who are looking to shed the vestiges, all the ugly, bad history that kind of plagues higher ed in particular, because that's where young people are at right now. But of course, we're trying to do this with larger society too.
Well, so I want to cover lightweight racist history of the Eyes of Texas, because I don't think it's that racist. I have bigger fish to fry. So the Eyes of Texas, when they play at the end of games, right? So like the team comes on the field, they look up to the stands, the student section, everybody, does the Eyes of Texas thing. Kind of like a PV, how we post a point to the hill as we sing our song. But anyway, the song is sung in a tune of I've Been Working on the Railroad. Remember, this is all late 1800 college hijinks, so it's going to be a little bit weird to you, but it's what he used to do back in the 1800s. The old president of the school taught a lot of classes, and he was always watching the kids. He was disciplinary, watching the kids, everything else.
Terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, he had a story all to the students about how Robert E. Lee would say to his soldiers before they went into a battle, "The eyes of the South are upon you." And he said that story all the time. So in the college hijinks, they made a song talking about how the eyes of Texas, the president, is upon you. And they debuted it at a campus minstrel show. Why would you not do that? It's late 1800s. We have minstrel shows on campus.
It's no black people around.
Yeah. And minstrel shows are fun. They were a fun, entertaining thing to do back then.
It was fun for them. That was fun for them.
Yeah, it was fun for them.
They're evil and nasty people, and that was fun for them.
And anyway, the song stuck around. After minstrels went away, after black students came into the school, the song just stuck around. It no longer has the same meaning it had then, as no one knows who the college president is, current students.
It's a song they're just still singing.
They're still singing. And they've been doing it for so long, they just keep on doing it. Once 2020 happened and the summer riots happened, summer of protests happened, a lot of students were like, hey, we should probably shed this song. It was debuted at a campus minstrel show. That's kind of racist. Let's not do it anymore. And the pushback is stronger from the donors than it is the students. Because once you take away
Let's look at the quotes. Look at the quotes, Tony. You ain't got to imagine what they said.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the letters came out. Shout out Texas Tribune. Okay, my wife and I give an endowment in excess of $1 million to athletics. This could very easily be rescinded if things do not drastically change around here. Okay? Has everyone become oblivious to who supports athletics? Yeah. I mean, they said basically, if it's not my way, it's not going to happen. This is illuminating quite a few problems. We'll start at the very beginning because we haven't even got to the racial part yet. The students.
Yes.
Race Reckoning 2020. I'm proud of them. Athletes in the tradition of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? In the tradition of a Jesse Owens, who by his mere presence on the track, and then of course his dominance on the track, makes a statement about the illusion of race hierarchy, phrenology, and eugenics in front of the Führer Hitler himself. And so these guys are saying, look, if LeBron can do I Can't Breathe, if LeBron can bust out the hoodie and the Skittles, then I got to do my part. And I think that's really a beautiful thing. And so they merely make the statement that this song has an undeniably nasty past, right?
Yeah.
Now, the song doesn't have nigger in it.
Yeah.
The song isn't, doesn't evoke images of a lynch mob or anything like that. But I mean, I don't like it. I don't like the lyrics. I don't like the tune. I've been working on the railroad, real insensitive mocking of chain gang activity. I don't like it, right? And so with any tradition, and this is the millennial thing, the postmodern thing, if it does not serve us in any particular way, then let it be history, right? Let it go, and just all right. This is the past. We don't do it anymore. This is from a bygone era, just like segregation, just like slavery. Put it to bed. And another statement from alumni goes like this: it's time for you to put your foot down and make it perfectly clear that the heritage of Texas will not be lost. It is sad that it is offending the Blacks. But as I said before, the Blacks are free, and it's time for them to move on to another state where everything else is in their favor. And I mean, you can't be more clear.
Yeah.
Now
that was an email from an alumni.
Yes.
Look it up. He definitely said that. Yeah.
And so we have a statement here that makes it clear that this is partly about tradition and history, which I think, history is history. We put it in books, we put it on film, we record it in audio. Look it up, G. It's called a museum, it's called a library. But it's not about that, is what's clear. It's not about how fun the memories of the song was. You said how fun it is. It's not about what my daddy did and his daddy did. It's about control, racial control, and maintaining sameness as it was in the past. And let's look at UT's statement right now, because I don't want to put shame on the name, even though they've done some nasty stuff. So basically they're saying, look, we don't like what the racial comment that homeboy made.
Right.
That's not a good look for the university. We don't agree with that. We denounce it. About the song, though, we got to review it. And if you know anything about recent history with the songs, racial reckoning spread to another flagship Texas university, Texas A&M University. The racial reckoning, as it pertains to athletes, spread to College Station, the other Texas flagship university, Texas A&M. You may remember Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. There's a statue, as there are many, of a Confederate general, right?
Yes.
Confederate commander, soldier,
a traitor,
vehement advocate for the university, for education. That's wonderful, beautiful. He did what he did, okay? And he said, this guy, Sullivan Ross, though he's put all this service in for the community, he did not intend for Black people to attend this school. And all these Black people are on this football team. I cite, $50 Million Slaves, the book about how colleges exploit young Black men's labor and give them little in return. If we're going to be giving all this money, if we're going to be generating all this revenue, giving a face to the university, putting our lives and bodies on the line, we should be able to at least get a little bit of respect as we do so. This man didn't want me here. He didn't want me educated. He didn't see me as a equal, as a human being. Let's remove it. I know you like to see him. They have the tradition of putting pennies for Sully And they it's like, for good luck and wishes and all kind of stuff like that. And they said, let's get rid of it. And it was an exchange between an athlete who was protesting and an alumnus who said it very simply. He said, "Are you an Aggie or are you a Blackie?" This is on video, by the way. You can find this on Twitter and YouTube.
So why isn't it the same the other way around?
If you're a student,
I'm not talking to you.
Are you an Aggie?
I'm not talking
or
to you.
Are you a Blackie?
I'm not talking to you.
You're an Aggie, right?
What?
If you go to school,
No. Say that one more time. Now,
And on the video is my frat brother, the member of Alpha Lambda Alpha Phi Beta Sigma chapter. He's the only member of the Phi Beta Sigma chapter there. And so he's a football player. He plays
a black fraternity.
Yeah, he plays linebacker for the Texas A&M, and they're there protesting against Sully's statue. And also, did homeboy put his hands on the black player? Or
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, it almost came.
Let's further contrast these two groups of people. Is there's Black Lives Matter chanting going on, the typical rallying cries that you would hear at a Black Lives Matter demonstration. And on the other side, they're singing the Aggie fight song. Yeah. And so we see the direct contrast between the importance of another human being's respect, sanctity of life, the right to exist in a space with recognition of their contribution, right? And the continued that conflicting with the continued veneration of those who are bona fide traitors to the United States of America and all of the principles that we hold dear.
Yeah, and so
that's the battle that we're fighting.
One thing I would point out, Ulysses S. Grant said there are two parties. One is Republicans, the others are traitors, basically. In that point in time, he was, the Confederates were mainly Democrats, right? And that's like a real thing here, because I don't understand why does Sully have a statue if he is a Confederate and a traitor? There's no gray area. If you are fighting against the United States of America, you are a traitor. Don't give me that BS about I'm fighting for my homeland. You're a traitor. Let's not play no games here, right? Robert E. Lee the same way, and so these statues are still up. Even Rice University has this issue because. Yeah, namesake of the university.
His name is Rice. This is not a school for Black people.
Yeah.
So any talk of that needs to be shut down.
Yeah.
And he is entombed on campus and has a statue atop his tomb at the center of the campus. I saw it myself. My friend Andy Choi and I were, I met up with him. I hadn't seen him in a while. He's off, at College Station getting his master's degree. And we're just having a walk in Houston, checking out some sites, decided to see, hey, do they have a Sully Ross issue over here? And little do we know, there's a Black undergraduate student sitting at the feet of Mr. Rice, and holding up a sign, protesting this very issue. And the basic claim is that alumni they set up a review board, they don't want to take it down, and it's an affront to his, mere existence. He earned the grades to get into one of the top schools in the country, the number one school in the state, and it can't get the respect of not venerating a man who fought to keep him out of the school.
Yeah, and also Ole Miss, A, they still call themselves the Rebels. B, they still play Dixie, right? Which is a song that got played at lynchings. And please do not come trying to tell me that it's about my Southern heritage. If the song was played at lynchings, I don't think we should be listening to it anymore. If you play the songs at lynchings while Black people are murdered, maybe we shouldn't play it anymore at football games. And
but here's the problem. Yeah. All these teams are make their money off of $50 million slaves, right? These Black students, excellent athletes, maybe they'll make it to the league, maybe they won't. Getting injured, right? Performing, and just now, looking to put some input, from the working class up, right? From the laborer up, maybe there should be some changes. I like the school. I like the, scholarships, the locker room, everything's creme de la creme. Of course, it's top-notch university, but maybe put some respect on my name a little bit, right? Yeah. And Texas A&M gives us a clear picture of how that might turn out for you, where Sullivan Ross is going to stay. They put it in review. And when the donors speak as they did, though blatantly racist, and though I can't claim to know whether or not the donors spoke in racist terms as they did at UT, I don't have doubts, to be honest with you. And that exchange kind of tells you how it goes, the exchange that they had between the athlete and the alumnus.
Yeah.
That it's going to be what it's going to be. And we like to delude ourselves to think that at Ivy League universities, it's a little different, right? There's the famous book, Ebony and Ivy, where they're seen to elucidate the intimate link between slavery and Ivy League institutions, where they invested their endowment in slave holding, slave trading, et cetera, and then the actual grounds in many cases were built by slaves, right? Because that's how old they are.
Yeah.
A lot of them predate America itself.
Yes.
So very old, lots of wrongdoing. And then you get universities like Princeton actually admitting to racism, right? And they'll say, oh, we are a bastion of racism. We've done so wrong. We're working to fix it because y'all roasted us so bad. Coastal elites, blah, blah, blah. But when we get down to the substance of it, you have professors like Cornel West, world-renowned speaker, public intellectual, wrote Race Matters is probably the most impactful book in the 90s, early 90s, and really elucidates a lot of things about race and the contributions of Black people to academia and American culture, especially the Black radical tradition and that of Christians in particular. Denied tenure at Harvard. How? If we're recognizing all these injustices and we on the East Coast are not like those Southern schools, we'll admit and we'll fix our racist past.
Well, I think the one thing is that I don't want to say too wild, but he isn't getting tenure as a political thing. And so because he often speaks the truth, but people aren't ready to hear the truth that he speaks, it becomes very easy to deny him tenure, but saying that you may make a statement that's not very good for the university. Angela Davis also got lost her job and denied tenure back in the 60s from UCLA, which at that time was one of still one of the prestigious schools and also one of the most progressive schools in the nation. And it
should also be noted that he's held tenure at Princeton and Yale before.
Yeah.
So the man's career is wild.
Yeah.
He mentions this before the point that I'm about to start the video at, but I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, go and play the video real quick.
So I asked the deans, what was the problem? And they said the tenure process would be too fraught. It would be too risky. And I said, well, what's fraught and risky about it? Controversial. What's controversial about it? And so it must be political. And I said, well, it's not my supporter, Brother Bernie Sanders. That's not it. What could it possibly be? So I said to myself, I wonder whether it's outspokenness for my precious Palestinian brothers and sisters under Israeli occupation. And I've said over and over again, if there was a Palestinian occupation of precious Jews, I'm with the oppressed group. In that case, my precious Jewish brothers. If there's Israeli occupation of Palestinians, I'm with my precious Palestinians because it's a moral and spiritual issue. But the problem is that it is a taboo issue among certain circles in high places. It's hard to have a robust, respectful conversation.
Yeah. So the BDS movement has many factions, and it has some support on the, has a lot of support on the left.
Boycott, divest, and sanction movement.
Yeah, the boycott, divest, sanction movement has gotten calls for being anti-Semitic. Like Mike Pompeo, went to Israel and stood with the Prime Minister Netanyahu to say it was anti-Semitic. Some of the scholars I know have said, look, I don't know if it's anti-Semitic, but it does hurt the workers of Israel. And it does probably hurt any standing that the Palestinians have. And when we talk about peace talks in Israel, because if the Israelis are losing money, they are going to be more hardened to not bargain. It's very deep. It's a very interesting discussion we could have in one day. That'd be about an hour-long video for us to really get into.
Right, but I don't think that's the issue here. The through line that I put through all these stories is that private interest is ruining education. And this is why I land on the liberal side of a lot of government programs, because people say, oh, is it the government's job? And then Texans say this, right?
Yeah.
It's, we are the state that we are. Is it the government's job to provide this service? I think the private industry could do it better. In a lot of cases, I ain't gonna lie, it's true, okay? The government sucks at doing almost everything except for the military, because we give it the appropriate resources and attention that it needs to build it up.
To be honest with you, unless the military is scorching earth, everything else we suck at.
Right, so it still is bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
but
if you want Fallujah, we can do that. We could do Fallujah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this proves true in public education, where you get all those crappy teachers that you didn't like, that were racist or inattentive or trying to touch the kids or something crazy like that, because no one's making big donations to Shinderwolf Intermediate or Klein Collins High School or whatever your local high school. But with universities, flagship universities, with the humongous endowments, millions of dollars coming in from oil money from the state, and at least in the state of Texas. It's big business. They got their own ESPN channel at University of Texas.
It's $1 billion business with the B. Yeah.
100,000 seats in that stadium.
Yeah. Johnny Manziel, in his 2 years, made the Texas A&M University $67 million. What's called the ESPN found.
But that's not the point. The point is all this money, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of private money, there's a lot of public money, and that's all good as long as you're educating that, whatever, who cares, right? Educate fairly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to issues like this, quality of life issues, cultural issues, where we're trying to progress and do better for all students, progress is impeded and ultimately stopped, as we saw with A&M, and I predict with the University of Texas, and as we see with Harvard, by private actors who, in the spirit of Andrew Carnegie, said, I want to shape the world with my philanthropy. That's the issue with the likes of Bill Gates, with all of his philanthropy, who has done marvelous and wonderful things in eradicating diseases and spreading vaccines. We're talking about the Clinton Foundation and the like. They have eradicating poverty and eradicating disease is excellent. Spread all the contraceptives you want. But when the personal vision trumps what is stated by the public as what is in their best interest, then we have nothing different from the tyranny of a kid.
I'm going to push back just a little bit. I'm going to push back on your point. My pushback is that if I enter the body of a rich UT donor, which, I will say, well, how much does the Eyes of Texas song really affect your quality of life?
How much does it affect yours?
Let me give my argument. How much is affecting your life? You're going to the flagship university. If you come out of there with that ring on your finger, I'm gonna give you a job. If you go attend our university, let's say you get hurt playing football, you can't make it to the league, you still have a diploma from the University of Texas. So you're gonna get a job in Texas. It's not gonna be any issue. You're gonna be living better than you would have been living if you had to go anywhere else, basically. It's just a song that we don't do minstrel shows anymore. Nobody's getting lynched anymore. You still come to, we don't do, nobody's getting straight up lynched like they used to anymore. And you can still come into our university. You're at 6% here, which is, not great, but it's not, as bad as Harvard, So as a $1 million donor, give me the song. Let me have my song. It's pretty simple. You're not at A&M where you got a statue of somebody racist. It's just a song you got to stand on the field for a couple seconds. Leave it alone. If I was at A&M, I would say, you either come to A&M, the flagship university. We got a bunch of talent in the NFL. You get a good degree here. It's just a statue. If you don't want to look at it, go somewhere. Go, walk around it, basically. But let me have my statue, and you can have TVs while you do your ice bath. The only thing I could maybe agree with is the degree to how bad is the quality of life. Because as you and I both know, many times I scoff at some of the issues that people have, because I'm like, I still get up every day and I've seen people live worse in Afghanistan. So, you know, where's your level of how bad is it really? But I do feel as if it's the flippantness for me. Oh, I hate that I just used that terminology for me. But it's how flippant they are, how dismissive they are of somebody's issues that really irks the fire out of me. Because it's like, I am a man, I am a human being, you know. You do come watch me play. Why not at least listen to what I have to say to you? Why can we not have a discussion about this? You know,
you're a pawn. You're a peon.
Yeah. And that's what I think. Well, that's what players and students probably feel at the end of the day.
Right. And let's take a thought experiment. Okay. Let's say we want to erect. I am a donor to any one institution, and I say, man, you know who I like? Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. Let's erect a Joseph Stalin statue because he really gave me some knowledge.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna go for it?
No.
Quality of life issues are huge, is my thing. It comes to the core, like all these things, we do all the symbolism because it's an expression of our collective identity. And so, you know, the conservatives who want to preserve tradition do it so vehemently as to try to ruin an educational experience or ruin the financial standing of the school, because they're not going to make the money off of the school, off of the football team if you take millions of dollars away from the football team. That's why the threat carries so much weight. That's why there is no action taken on these issues, because they do take it that seriously. It is that, like, as serious as it is for me as a Black person to want to have respect, it's so serious to you to exercise control and not have, in the words of the not having the inmates run the asylum.
That was the Houston Texans. I'm putting on the Cowboys. Unfortunately, it was Houston Texans.
I don't like the Cowboys.
Yeah. My thing is, it's about tradition, and you want people to love going to UT. Then getting rid of that song is probably your best bet, because they will go to UT and get a degree, but will they wear the t-shirts? Will they cheer for the team like you do? Once you are dead and gone, which everybody will be dead and gone at some point, who's going to be there to carry on the legacy if I don't want to talk about the school that I went to because I feel them to be racist or not caring about my issues? You know, yeah.
This is my ending point. Okay, just like with the Republican Party and being against voting, democracy, right? Your principles, and then it goes further. You know, you talk about the Catholic Church and sheltering all these pedophiles, and any place where evil persists and the powers that be refuse to recognize and address it. And we're talking about evil, right? Like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Whether it be disrespect, denying one of the foremost scholars on the planet, you know, his promotion, the respect as a scholar that he deserves, at the risk of losing him at your institution, at the risk of losing athletes, at the risk of losing the season, right? Like, they're jeopardizing their own existence at the risk of losing the democracy, right? The whole thing that you're here for, you're willing to give it up for something superficial. It makes me question whether or not your principles are genuine. And when your principles don't exist, right, that you espouse and that make you so great, and free speech and democracy, the Bible and the rules therein, mm-hmm. When all that means nothing, I gotta go. And I think it's time for people to go, is my takeaway. So when it comes to larger university, choose one without a spotted pass. Prairie View A&M University, right? HBCUs around the country, like, in real, like, to be serious. Mm-hmm. And their enrollment is increasing, especially with more sought after athletes coming out of high school, because they don't want to deal with all this. They're like, look, let me invest in some place that has always shown me love.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people leave in the church because there's incongruity between the teachings and the way the church acts in the public sphere as it fights to preserve tradition. The Ivies consistently getting roasted. Why? Same reasons.
Yeah, I really believe at the end of the day, and I think it's just fear. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's fear, and fear causes you to do irrational things. You know, fear of placement, fear of standing, you know, in the world. I know some people are gonna hear me say that, like, well, if you have $1 million to get to university and an endowment, what are you fearful of? You still have that same, you know, power and standing. But I don't think it's about that. I think it's about, like, you know, well, what do my millions mean? What does my $1 million mean? Exactly. If I can't still have the traditions that I want to hold true.
I have to exercise the power.
Yeah, exercise the power. You know,
my power is, and this is, you know, the coward.
Yeah,
it is only means something when I can wield it over another person. The core, the takeaway that we both come to is, and I do not. There are some bona fide anti-Semitic things being said in BDS. Not with it, you know. Show love to the Jews. Jesus was a Jew. Jews contributed to a bunch of society with the racism. But boycott, divest, and sanction is the solution. When people want to maintain all these wicked machinations, symbolic or otherwise, the solution, unfortunately, that we got to come to is to boycott, divest, and sanction.
Yeah, all right. My name is Toyance Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Peace.
Do it to him, D.